So we've just been for a very short walk. I felt like all the planets had come together and said to Mark, shall we go for a walk? So we went for a walk and we didn't get very far. By the time I got up into the woods, my feet were really hurting, so we came back. But we went. It wasn't far. It was um, probably 600 or 700 meters. Not very far at all, but we went. It's bright at times. It's mild and windy. Um, we've been watching Philip the interpretation of Philip Pullman's Dark Materials on telly. We've caught up. There's 8 episodes apparently, and we've watched the 4 that have been televised so far, or whatever the word is that I'm looking for that I can't find. So yeah, we're watching that. It gets weirder and weirder. It's really hard to follow. And I read the books back in the late 90s, early 2000s. Oh, it's a long time ago, isn't it? And I've probably read them twice. We're on the book that I liked the least, which was the last book called The Subtle Knife. And I didn't really like it, and I remember now I found it hard to follow. So that's probably why this is beginning to feel difficult. But we persevere. I am reading Spare, and will wait until I've read the whole book before I have an opinion. I note that there is, in various places, a furor, lots of it, media reporting this, media reporting that, media telling you the bits that they want you to see, media choosing the bits that they want you to read that suits their narrative. And I think the best way to deal with that is to read the book, and then you can have an opinion based on what you read, based on the story he tells about his story. Personally, at the end of the day, it's his story. It's how he perceived things to be as he was going through what he was going through, and as he's been dealing with what he's been dealing with. Nobody else's story. Everybody's story is unique. Everybody has. I grew up in a family with 3 sisters, and we all had a different upbringing. We all perceived it differently. We will all have a different story to tell about what happened during this particular event in our lives that we, all 3 of us, jointly were exposed to. We'll all tell a different story about that. That's the normal stuff. So he's telling his story. I'm reading it because I'm interested. Mark called me a royalist. I told him, after telling him to fuck off, I said, I'm not a royalist, I'm a HarryMeghanist. So yeah, I'll wait and see, and maybe I will say more about it. I'm sure I will. But I just despair of the constant nagging about what you're being fed. You're being fed this stuff to nag about it. It's ridiculous, and there's so much more you could be talking about. There's so many more things going on in the world, globally. There's so much more important stuff going on, rather than talking about Harry and Meghan or other stuff. There's people dying of hunger. There's people that can't afford to heat their homes. There are ambulances lining up outside hospitals because they call them beds, but what it means is there's no nurses to look after the people in the beds. It's not that there's no beds. Nurses are being paid shite. Train drivers are being paid shite. Politicians are living in like pigs in shit. That's what we need to be talking about. But oh no, let's talk about Meghan and Harry, because that way we can all be distracted from real life issues and talk about stuff we don't really know about, apart from what we've been fed, what the media want us to talk about, to distract from the real stuff. So that's what's going on. So that's what I'm doing. I went to the doctors, that was fine. I don't know why I get anxious about it. I shouldn't do, but I think that I get annoyed with myself, and then I think that he's going to be annoyed with me, and he isn't, and wasn't. He was lovely, and is willing to go along with how I want to pan things out over the next few months whilst the work's going on in the house, if that ever happens, and the journey to Canada, the holiday in Canada. So I'm going to keep my rheumatology appointment later this month, and won't have to implement anything new until we come back. Heard nothing about the micro station, still waiting to see the study that was done before Christmas. I need to see that needs to go to the Mairie to be signed off, it needs to go to the water people to be signed off, and then we might get a micro station. Heard nothing since before Christmas. Table, waiting for it to be delivered. Heard nothing since I was told it was going to be delivered 4 days ago. Plumber, heard nothing from them. They've had a deposit check, they cashed it way before Christmas, and I've heard nothing from them about the date that they're going to come and put all the new shower and sink into the bathroom. So I'm getting really, really pissed off with just feeling like, again, nothing's happening. You know, we've had Christmas, we've had New Year, it's now whatever it is, it's the 11th of January, and still I feel like there's nothing happening, no jump starting going on. Really frustrating. And of course, you know, every day that goes past, the jobs will begin to merge, possibly. And that's my anxiety, and that's my stuff, isn't it? Because it is only January and we've still got February, March, April really. But I don't want anything going on halfway through April. I want it all finished by then so that I can concentrate on getting the house back together before our house sitters arrive. And also so that I can concentrate on how, you know, the plans and packing and everything for Canada. Oh, and I've heard nothing back from. I contacted a removal firm to move us and store, so move us, pack us, move us, store stuff, not move us, but move furniture out, store it, and then fetch it back afterwards. I contacted them before Christmas. I've heard nothing. I don't know what it is, and some of my French viewers might tell me, but my experience for the 16 years I've been in France is that French people do not use email. Many French people do not communicate by email, and that is so frustrating because it's such a quick and easy way to do it, and especially for me whose French isn't good on the phone. But nothing. So I've heard nothing from them, and now I've got to track down who it was that contacted, because I think it was a contact form rather than me sending it from my email service. So that's a bummer. I think that's all I was going to tell you. I'm having my hair done Saturday. Have a hair appointment. I'm going to have it a bit of colour in it, and a bit of length taken off, a bit of a tidy up. Not a lot, but some. So that's on Saturday. That takes just over an hour to get there, because I always found it difficult to find a decent hairdresser here, and I have hair that shows all the cut marks because it's so fine. So Jen is Tony and Guy trained, so people travel for hours to get to Jen, which is why I find it hard to get an appointment with her, because she is very popular and busy. Yeah, so that's it. I'm going to go back in now and carry on reading my book. Hope you're having a good one, whatever it is, whether it's an evening, a morning, a day, or a weekend. I know it's not a weekend, but you know what I mean.